Good evening, class. I am Kevin Stevenson, and my presentation is titled Not My Brother's Keeper: The Decline of the United States of America Influence in the World. Purpose: with the change in leadership since our recent election and the wars that the United States have fought for the last 2 decades, the United States has been viewed as a superpower, but has our influence as a nation diminished? With rumors of Russia's involvement during the presidential campaign and election, to the rise in the racial incident, hate crimes being recorded via social media against our own citizens, and the racial division being perpetrated in the streets of our nation. Does the world still view us as a law-abiding civilized society, or just a bunch of bigoted separatists? In this presentation, I will take an opportunity to discuss what I perceive as the decline of the United States influence throughout the globe and how it affects our criminal justice system. Overview. I will cover: how do people view the United States? Are these views considered hostile or friendly? Is it necessary to care about how the United States is viewed? Does the world view us shape the way United States citizens are treated? Views of the United States. Since the Monica Lewinsky scandal of the 90s, the world stage have viewed the U.S. favorably, even amongst call for President Clinton immediate impeachment. McRae H., The Independent, 1999. This is because the global influence of a nation is determined by the amount of power they possess. Countries all possess the following powers: hard power and soft power. I will define these powers and why they are so important. These powers have enabled the United States to increase its influence throughout the world since World War II. Hard power. The Oxford Dictionary defines hard power as a cursive approach to international political relations, especially one that involves the use of power. Oxford Dictionary 2017, as well as weaponry systems. Soft power. The Oxford Dictionary defines soft power as a persuasive approach in international relations, typically involving the use of economic or cultural influence. These influences include, but are not limited to, the country's economic growth and stability, as well as innovations in technology. Our social climate and standard of living also plays a major part in the United States is viewed globally. Morally, for the past two presidential administrations, the United States have lost moral ground due to the decisions that were made in the fight against terrorism, which trampled basic human rights norms in defense of American interests. Barnett, CNN, 2012. Socially, even citizens identify themselves with the collective they belong to, whether this is the family they are born into or to the people they associate themselves with. Most people gain a sense of esteem from where they come from as well as who they are globally. Americans are viewed as arrogant, disrespectful of authority, drunkard, wasteful, ignorant of other countries and our cultures, informal, insensitive, lazy, obnoxious, promiscuous, racist, wealthy, immature, snobbish, stinky. We think we know everything. We think every country should imitate the U.S. And lastly, we are uniform about policies. Hostile. When it comes to hostility towards the United States, most of it is because the world's view of our policies and our ethics. The Time has reported at least 9 countries that hate the United States. These include Middle Eastern countries like Iraq, Yemen, Lebanon, Palestinian territories, Pakistan, Slovenia, Egypt, Tunisia, and Iran. Most of the hostile view range from the United States alliance with Israel to the use of military involvement throughout the Middle East are the Islamic ideology. Some nations actually dislike the United States based off economic instability and perceived lack of assistance by the US government. Friendly. These nations that are our allies have a friendly view of our citizens and our social due to similar policies and social economic views as Canada, Australia, Britain, aka United Kingdom, France, Italy, and Ireland. Hostile view versus criminal justice system. Some of the hostile views in regards to the US in regards to human rights violation in our criminal justice system. The US has the prison population with 2.7 million people incarcerated in our American prison system and about 12 million people cycling through our county jails annually. 31 of 50 states still impose the death penalty. Racial disparities in our criminal justice system and judiciary punishment. This includes drug reform, police reform, prison jail condition, where we still have an estimated 100,000 inmates being held in solidarity confinement, impoverished defendants, and the equality of representation during legal proceedings. Friendly views versus criminal justice system. Unfortunately, our only friendly view when it comes to our criminal justice system is the fact that we need and are pursuing criminal justice reform. The fact that our politicians and society knows that things will get better by improving and providing better educational opportunities, as well as building more industry in technical regime, will enable for less people to be involved in criminal activity. Also, by reforming current laws to make sense for the majority with prison sentences to reflect the crime, with aid in our preservation of our democracy. By enabling the law is equal enforced regardless of race or economic status, which will result in liberty and justice for all. Why should we care? Even though good citizens usually care about how their neighbors and family view them, but now with the advancement in technology, most citizen interests can be shared around the world. How we are viewed internationally does not affect to how we are treated. Unfavorable view can adversely affect our political clout, economic stability, and our global relevance. Do the world view matters? World view matters because the way the rest of the world view us can affect whether we can maintain our political or economic influence or whether we will become irrelevant. Positive view will increase investment in business and infrastructure, increase positive alliance among the world powers, increase tourism, increase international enrollment in the institution of higher learning. Negative view decreases investment in business and infrastructure, increase enemies among nations, decrease desire to attend American schools, and diminished alliance. As the world view affect how we view ourselves one way or another, from the Revolutionary War throughout the presidential to the present day. The Americans has been viewed as prisoners, freedom fighters that topple a British Empire in pursuit of independence. Because of this, the Americans take pride in the glory days of the past and the stride yet to come. Do worldviews affect how we view ourselves? Yes. Most Americans understand that the United States does not exist in our bubble, and with expansion of the internet and technology as a whole, most Americans have immersed themselves in the global community. The way we treat each other, it's like self-esteem. Only here the word is a negative. Americans will not take pride in it. The bombing of the Hiroshima, their weapon against the foreign. Selma to Montgomery March of the South was televised. Protesters as they marched for equality in 1960. In Vietnam, and after the Vietnam returned from criminals. The rated race increased to the same veterans as military members were slandered in their country. Police will rise the world stage of the unprovoked Lando, his girlfriend and child. They were acquitted of any wrong. Lives Matter movement gained more spark whether the U.S. risk of American descent. And now the Muslim travel ban instituted to protect radical terrorists. The problem is out of these countries who hate the United States. Iran, Iraq, and Yemen. Out of the 6 were recorded to the U.S. and their policies. Hostility and foreign increased potential of American citizens being shipped for either political or fear-mongering. Perception of espionage handled by Iran. The likelihood of America US and the diplomatic last year for U.S. business in 2014, U.S. companies their database vulnerabilities, unfortunately to the unfortunately to the detriment of American people. A lot of not discovered lack of security later. Walter Hastings, our community. It to a civil society's hostility, race relation, in regards to gender and sex, religious freedom, city, and community that in any of these areas can increase of unlawful fusion. This has in the collective. Be mindful of especially in regards to and the world uses and the world. By working to improve and improving our business and states will retain increased allies as long as our social media and technology revert to being an isolated or